It's difficult for people who've come to the game recently to understand sort of the passion that someone like myself have.
I started watching Liverpool in the start of the 60s. The ticket cost about £3 bob, £4 bob, which is 15 or 20p.
I always say I knew I was a Liverpool fan before I knew my name. You know, it was part of the family, it was part of what you did.
And the cop was just extraordinary, and the boys' pen particularly for me, with seeing these young lads in the far corner and the noise they made.
Very well played, sir.
They were the first English crowd to chant.
They don't behave like any other football crowd, especially not at one end of Anfield Ground on the Kop.
The change it made when Liverpool won the Cup for the first time and stopped being second-class citizens in the city.
It's just wonderful. It was the whole M6 was jammed and the coach stopped, and there were people on the motorway. I know this is a story that everybody knows now, but I was in that coach and people were dancing around the coach, singing, and the players were laughing. And there wasn't a toilet on the coach, so the players utilised the empty beer bottles to relieve themselves. But it was just a fantastic night.
What's fundamental to understanding Liverpool Football Club is understanding the Shankly effect. I mean, he transformed the support base from just being football supporters into an almost religious movement, that football transcended the actual playing of the game and the results and the scores. It became something where we put our whole identity into it and put our whole sense of belief.
Shankly was the personification of the whole thing, this belief and this sort of sense of joy, but sense of community as well.
I've drummed it into our players, time and again, that they are privileged to play for you.
All for one and one for all.
It's hard to comprehend it now when you look at this society we live in, the X-Factor society, the me society, the post-Thatcher society, that how important political involvement was. I mean, all the boys who went to the away games, they confounded the mythology of football hooliganism, which is, you know, far right. They were all broadly socialist.
Somebody said the football's a matter of life and death to you. I said, listen, it's more important than that. And that's true.
And that informed the way we behaved, the way we acted, how we supported the club. And so it was a great convergence, you know, because Shankly talked about socialism, you know, and he talked about all pulling together. And it was this brilliant, brilliant coming together where all these beliefs were distilled, and we felt that the club was a standard bearer in all this.
We speak the language that everybody understands. Instead of me saying somebody was avaricious, I would say he was bloody greedy.
But my idea was that to build Liverpool into a bastion of invincibility.
It took us to places where people wouldn't normally see us, where people normally wouldn't relate to us, and we could go there and show them what we were all about, and they didn't like it, and that was great. We liked that.
And it was like all your dreams coming true. Every season your dreams came true, and Shankly made that happen.
You just felt that you were part of a movement, you were part of something that was bigger than football, that was bigger than politics, it was life.
And it was just such a feeling of community and excitement as well. The Beatles grew and conquered England, then conquered America. And Liverpool Football Club were like that as well. They conquered the second division, then conquered the first, and then conquered Europe. Everything just got better and better, but always done with style and a certain... It was always real. It wasn't. There was no sort of false glamour about it, you know.
Well, for the public, in general, football is an entertainment. For the fanatics, it's the same as me. It's life or death.
Take it too far. It's a goal!
But clearly, something has gone badly wrong at that end of the ground where the Liverpool supporters are. The game has been stopped. Nothing is happening. The players are moving towards the centre circle. and we have a very, very serious situation. One or two people are rolling onto the pitch, and they're clearly the worst.
It's the worst disaster in British football history.
The club's decline began on the 15th of April 1989, and none of us knew it. And funnily enough, it was the same moment football changed, and the Premier League, you could say, was born that moment.
But there are too many people in the Liverpool end of the ground, and that's the top and bottom of it.
You can't have people penned in that way. It was a nasty experience really to go to games.
For us, it was a shock, and sort of emotionally, it was very difficult to deal with. For people within the club, like Kenny Dalglish, who went and visited all the families in the immediate aftermath of it, it was it undermined him, it destabilised him, and when he resigned as manager, it left a huge vacuum there. I think people underestimate the effect it had on the people, the city and the club. Liverpool was a club rudderless as a result of the Hillsborough disaster.
My face softly made up and my fair hair gently waved. The Iron Lady of the Western world.
They were voted in on a platform, they did everything they'd said, and the Thatcher government changed the rules, moved the goalposts, so that they couldn't do what they said. They rate capped them and eventually suspended the councillors.
Labour is at fault. It's ruining the country.
It proved that democracy doesn't exist. They just changed it to suit themselves. I always remember watching The Godfather when he talked about the black areas and he brought heroin into the communities, and they said, it's we'll give it to them and sort of keep them sort of dazed and depoliticised. And I always thought it was laughed at it. When I come back to Liverpool in the mid-90s, I saw a whole generation that had been depoliticised. Drugs were much bigger in the city, and also a whole generation had their involvement in the political process wiped out, leaves the young kids without anything to get involved in.
David Moores appreciated that he couldn't take us any further because we did need a new stadium. We wanted to keep up because by this time Chelsea was spending stupid money, Arsenal had the Emirates nearly built, Man United were expanding their capacity. We needed to compete.
Manchester United and Arsenal and others were improving their infrastructure and improving what they did for the fan. They started doing that really from the 80s onwards, and it accelerated through the 90s. If you look at the infrastructure at Liverpool at first hand, it just hasn't moved on at all.
They had the big shiny megastore, we had the corner shop. The most stunning indictment of Liverpool Football Club as an example I can offer is that we were the last Premiership club to have their own official website.
Compared to any other alternative this club had, we are the perfect new custodians of this franchise. We understand what it means. It's not new. We've had experience with other opportunities to preserve those traditions.
Nix and Gillette were there. They were at the game. They were talking big.
I'm Tom Hicks. This is my story.
Tonight we honor a Texas ex whose ambition to be the best has meant huge rewards. By his late 30s, Tom was a partner in his own investment firm and had led his first major leveraged buyout.
I'm the owner of the Texas Rangers.
The Rangers have won it!
I'm the owner of the Dallas Stars.
It's over! It's over!
Strong, steadfast Texan billionaire. We all thought we got J.R. Ewing. It was great.
Half the people in the world are women. Why does it have to be you that stirs me?
The carnival atmosphere began earlier in the day in the city centre after American Liverpool owner Tommy Hicks was spotted emerging from the Ruin Hotel.
I came as a young man from a farm in Wisconsin.
The Canadians, his ice hockey team, they were all big fans of him. Everyone, you know, you look on it, everyone was very fond of him over there. He run the team well, he engaged the fan base.
We're going to have to do some of this.
I take it there will be a fair amount of that.
I know we're going to do a little of that.
It'll be in pen.
Okay, well, I've got a euro pocket. we could do it in euros also. Oh dear. This is about the fans. This is about this club. This is about Rafa. It's not about Tom and me. We're here. We're supporters, and we intend to be supporters long term.
We're not going to put a budget on what we're going to do. We're going to let Rafa and Rick bring us their plans, and then we'll support those plans.
Both Everton and Liverpool Football Clubs, they're very significant players in some of the most deprived areas in the country. They're the biggest private sector operators. They draw down matching funding for their investment in many respects.
Lots and lots of parts of Anfield around the football ground that actually look like it's been through the Blitz.
Just behind the present cop is the area which is officially listed as the most deprived area in the whole country.
Liverpool Football Club, I know for a fact they've got over 100 empty derelict houses in Anfield.
Houses are crying out for investment, but they're just waiting for something to happen with the stadium.
Private investors won't invest until they see LFC making a move.
The shovel needs to be in the ground here in the next, 60 days or so?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
And we would intend to follow that, and I think you'll see the beginning of a great big swimming pool being dug out in Stanley Park here relatively soon.
They came in, and the first thing they done was scrap the Parry Bowl, as it's called, the off-the-shelf design, came up with this great design. To be fair, it's a great design for the new stadium. Talk of 78,000 to 74,000 capacity. We all thought, yeah, you know.
Architects' fees for a stadium that we're probably never going to get under their reign does ask the question, and it does anger fans to think, well, if they were never going to build a stadium, why were they allowed to spend that money? There's money from a football club disappearing to pay for stuff that isn't happening.
It makes no sense, really, I think, in the long run, to not put money back into the communities, because it's where your fans come from, it's where the players come from in the end. And you're not going to have these players. You're not going to have people coming through to play the game on the pitch. And you're certainly going to have people watching the game from the terraces unless more is put back into the communities. And so that seems to be pretty fundamental and not really a controversial point of view.
Should Liverpool Football Club, the business that is making the most money around here and is bringing in all these visitors, not want the best for this area? It seems they don't. It seems they've allowed the situation to remain as it is now.
So as far as Hicks and Gillette are concerned, they've been a big negative in terms of regeneration.
We must kill them and drive them out.
When the first set of published accounts come out, and there's a small section in it talking about expenses. That we should be paying for them and their family to come over on all expenses paid trips, staying in 5-star hotels, flying over on private jets, allowing one of their sons to stand on the pitch in Anfield to propose to his girlfriend. It isn't an all expenses paid jolly. Look at the fans that are coming through the turnstiles who save or who make sacrifices to pay for their tickets, who make sacrifices in the summer or work extra hours all the time to pay for their season ticket. Why were fans allowed to pay for them to come and watch the football club that they chose to own? It's a massive bone of contention for Liverpool fans, that.
We say we live in a capitalistic society. What does that mean?
We just didn't see what was coming.
Hicks and Gillette put very little of their own money into this at the beginning when they bought it for 220 million. That 220 million included 40 million of debt that was already in the company, and then the rest of it was, largely speaking, borrowed.
A leveraged buyout is using debt to acquire an asset and putting the debt onto the asset often, which is what's happened with Liverpool's case.
They found gold in the gorge. Gold?
The worst aspect is the fact that these are leverage buyouts. I mean, what they're doing, they're laying the debt onto the clubs themselves. I mean, ultimately, it is, again, the fan and the club that pays their profit.
What's wrong with Liverpool and what's wrong with Manchester United is it's over-borrowed.
The debt is rising and rising and rising, and that becomes more worrying by the day. Liverpool are paying £770,000 every week. That's the wages of 7 world-class, 7 Fernando Torreses they could be paying the wages of every single week.
If you're talking about levels of debt that exist in Manchester United or exist in Liverpool, then Liverpool fans should be very wary.
That's just awful. I mean, it makes you think, well, what sense is there in this? There's no sense as well I can see.
Can you understand concerns that supporters might have had when initially it mentioned, hey, you know, we've already got a couple of Americans coming in to buy Aston Villa, to buy Manchester United, and now there's a couple of guys coming in to buy Liverpool. Can you understand their initial concerns?
Well, because we're not English, but you know, it's not easy to own a sports team.
These guys strike me as financial poker players.
Oh, yes, I did. I was in love, you know.
Liverpool Football Club exists to win trophies. It exists as a source of pride for its supporters. That's what Bill Shankly said. Yet instead, under Tom Mix and George Gillette, it seems Liverpool Football Club existed to pay down debt.
We wanted to write, until recently, until 2 or 3 years ago, about people kicking balls, about zonal marking, about offside traps. Now we're writing about finances. I didn't have the expertise to do that.
They're exploiting it. I mean, we used to, I'm trying to think of the phrase that we used to use, asset stripping. I mean, that's how I see it, in the same vein, is that what they're trying to do is take the value out of something, or the monetary value, and they leave it stripped of that monetary value.
Oh, isn't this pretty? So green, so crunchy.
So easy on the eyes.
We speak the language that everybody understands. Instead of me saying somebody was avaricious, I would say he was bloody greedy.
They called it private equity. Before that, it was called asset stripping. It's the same thing. They come in, they use a product, they put the debt against that product, and those who buy the product pay off the debt. Tom Mix himself is quoted as saying that Liverpool is like Weetabix. When they bought Weetabix, you could say that people who ate Weetabix were paying for them to own that company.
What I say goes, see? I'm the law around here.
My 6-year-old nephew would not have believed that performance.
Pity. I thought it was rather good, sir.
That massive debt is then repaid by the fans who come through the turnstiles. And if the debt isn't paid, the assets are sold.
I think what we have in football at the moment are some stark examples of what the whole of our financial system is about.
In the middle of the night, my wife awakened me and said, "Get up, there's a burglar in the house." So I got up and I said, "Here, Mr. Burglar, what do you mean burgling in my house?" He said, "I have a perfect right to burgle in your house, sir, and I'm going to burgle." I said, "I'll see whether you're going to burgle or not. I'll go right out and get a policeman and have you arrested." So I went right out to the grocery store and I found 2 policemen. I said, "There's a burglar down into my house, burgling." They said, "What kind of a looking burglar is this?" I said, "He has a dark mustache." They said, "We can't arrest him." He said, "He has purchased the burgling privilege on this block and we can't touch him." I said, "Well, how in the world am I going to be protected?" He said, "Well, you'll have to move into a block where they haven't sold the burglar privilege."
And now surely you have enough diamonds.
Oh, diamonds is my career.
Utopium Unlimited. It glows in the dark. Small investment, big profit. As a special favor, I'll let you have 100 shares for only 40 cents a share. That comes to $40, plus, of course, $20 for putting you onto a surefire moneymaker.
Market drops 5 points. I'm glad my money's tied up in hay.
Found gold in Virginia City. Gold? 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 Gold?
Capitalism? Well, why should there be any question about it? Hasn't it given us the highest standard of living in the world?
Most fans would probably love to see the financial dealings of Thomas and George Gillette looked at closer and given a bit closer scrutiny. Suddenly, the club was owned not by Thomas and George Gillette directly, but by a company called Cop Football, who were based in the Cayman Islands. They were owned by another company who were based in Delaware, who were owned by another company based in America. It was them levels, and it's them subsequent levels, which have made it difficult to understand where money's gone, how money's been sourced and things like that. There probably is more debt on the football club than we would have ever imagined. The fans and the football club and the product is left to clear up the mess.
It's a great insight into how these guys think. It's all just about exploiting the club. So much for all this fake support for Liverpool with his Liverpool scarf on, and we're going to take it to the top. The only thing that they're going to do is take it to pieces.
Today, the youngest lad said, "What have they done wrong, Dad?" And I said, "I'll tell you what they've done wrong, son." I said, it's like someone coming to our house now and being my mate and then going off and knocking off me missus and then asking me to pay for the hotel room.
It's heartbreaking, soul destroying, isn't it? In a matter of 12 months, or they've raped the club.
We've now seen Gillette selling the Montreal Canadiens. There's a belief in the markets that he didn't derive much out of that. In other words, he was paying back debt. And we've seen one of the Texas sporting entities owned by Hicks go into Chapter 11 bankruptcy.
His baseball team, many of the fans there don't like him. Major League Baseball had to bail them out because they defaulted on loans. And the fear amongst Liverpool fans and the understanding is that if Liverpool Football Club fails to make repayments on any part of the debt, Tom Hicks and George Gillette are not legally involved in any way. They escape any punishment. George Gillette has recently done the same in NASCAR and has claimed that defaulting on his loans was a good thing.
The businesses are all in excellent shape financially. They all are healthy. They've got strong incomes and relatively small debt in this difficult world.
Boy, would he fit in all of Dickens' stories, huh?
They've been made bankrupt before. Their sport franchises and their previous business dealings, they've been made bankrupt. To them, it seems to be a badge of honour. Rather than something to be ashamed of and something to prevent, they just accept it as a way that they do business.
These guys, they're just speculators. They speculate in sports clubs. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, the last thing that they're interested in is the longer-term health of an individual sporting club. What it's about is a fast turnover and a fast buck.
Maybe this is the greatest racket I ever came up with.
You can say that again.
Oh, what a sucker. 20 G's, just like that.
Tom Hicks and George Gillette have got a track record of what they are doing now. They wouldn't be responsible for repaying any part of the debt. Liverpool Football Club would, and that's when you'd begin to see players sold to meet debt repayments to get the bank's money back. And where would that leave Liverpool Football Club then?
I know what stability means to professional sports organizations.
I can't see how it will ever be possible for Liverpool fans to trust these people again.
We don't believe that the way Liverpool is currently managed and its stewardship is in safe hands, and we'd like a change.
Almost 40 years ago, my granddad stood on these steps in front of a crowd that had not come to see a triumphant Liverpool side, but to welcome home a side that had been defeated in the 1971 Cup final. Then again, in 2005, over 1 million people turned out to celebrate the magic of Istanbul. Whether it's a success or a failure, we support our team.
I've drummed it into our players, time and again, that we are privileged to play for you.
We've moved into an era when the Wall Street businessmen are coming into it. It's the Gordon Gekko. Why are you fucking with this company? Because it's fuckable. And Liverpool was more fuckable than most.
The price is right. The exciting game of bidding, buying, and bargaining. A majestic great front. An elegant design by Union National.
But now that they've officially put the club up for sale, Thomas and George Gillette seem to have become a bit bullish.
The Hicks valuation of 800 million is pure fantasy land. Don't know where he gets that from, can't see any possible justification for it or any number anywhere near it.
It's incredible to think that the man who bankrolled the American War of Independence was born just a stone's throw away from here in Toxteth. A fella called Robert Morris was not only known as the financier of the revolution, but he also signed both the Declaration of Independence and the American Constitution. So this Liverpool-born banker was the first also to use the dollar symbol in official documentation. Now, whilst we can legitimately claim as Scousers that we gave America a constitution and a currency. In return, America gave us Gillette and Hicks. It doesn't seem to be a fair swap to me. I don't know what you think. If all those years ago the Americans could claim their country back from the English, then nearly 2.5 centuries later, Scousers all over the world should be claiming our club back from the Americans.
What I'd like to see, as I say, is a model of a club where there is a shared ownership amongst a lot of people, ideally with the sort of members club kind of approach.
Just hope that we can put football back into the hands of the people, because that's what it's all about. Without the people, there's no game, really.
My idea was to build Liverpool into a bastion of invincibility.
Goodbye, folks. It's been weird.
Children, have you ever met the bogeyman before? No, of course you haven't, for you're much too good, I'm sure. Don't you be afraid of him if he should visit you. He's a great big coward, so I'll tell you what to do. Hush, 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 here comes the bogeyman. Don't let him come too close to you, he'll catch you if he can. Just pretend that you're a crocodile, and you will find that bogeyman will run away a mile. Say shoo shoo and stick him with a pin. Bogeyman will very nearly jump out of his skin. Say buzz buzz, just like the wasp that stings. Bogeyman will think you are an elephant with wings. Hush, 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 here comes the bogeyman. Tell him you've got soldiers in your bed, for he will never guess that they are only made of lead.